I'm Twilla Amin, your host for Copy That. This week we have a very, very special episode. I am answering your questions, these frequently asked questions about how to get into the entertainment industry. And you know what? We're just going to dive right in. And as always, if you have questions, remember to leave them in the comments. DM me if you're not watching on YouTube or a place where you can just leave comments. Make sure you DM me at Twilla Amin. So let's get into it.
What qualifications do I need to become a producer, director, or writer?
That's a good question. And since we're talking on all of them, I'll try to give some information. At first, you're just going to need industry experience, and what that looks like is experience on set. That's where you're going to get the most. You'll see how everything operates. So if you think you're interested in directing, you think you're interested in being a producer or a writer, get on the set and actually see how a set works. And then that'll give you more insight as to if this is what you really want to do. And also it will help you grow your network. But I will say that's not the only way to get experience. You should also do things like write your own projects, partner up with your friends, produce and direct, because that real-time experience is where you actually going to learn a lot about the craft, and that's going to be invaluable as well.
How can I stay up to date with entertainment industry trends?
So the way to stay up to date with entertainment industry trends, the old school answer for me is going to be read your trades. So your trades are things like the Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety. These are where you're going to find out about entertainment news, what's happening, business deals, mergers, who signed where. Also get on different boards, like industry boards. You'll find information not just about jobs, but like what are if you're interested in selling a script, you're a producer or director or writer, you can find out about like the different manifests that television studios are looking, like what they're looking for that upcoming season. And also Instagram, social media, listen, is your best friend. You can follow these sites, you can follow your favorite directors, producers, directors, and also just keep an eye on what's happening and what they're leaning towards, and you'll see the trends that way. I think it's very important. That's a good question. I think it is very important to be in the know about what our industry is going through.
This kind of piggybacks off what you just said. Are there any online tools or resources I can use to help hone my craft?
Yes. So there's so many tools. First of all, Google is your best friend. If you're really trying to hone your craft, I think the best thing you can do is hop on Google and be like, how do I? Now you're going to have to go through a bunch of like horrible answers or like basic and generic things, but that's going to give you a start. Like that's how I came across different blogs about like how to be a good PA. Like I literally Googled that. It was very helpful. There's tools, like I said, there's job boards on social media. Like if you're on Facebook, there's different Facebook groups. Listen, the TikTok girlies will give you all the information you need about certain things. So follow like people who are in the industry on TikTok and Instagram, like me. You can follow me. I always have, I'll have tips for you. Listen to different podcasts. There's a plethora of great podcasts like where you can hear from like some of the greats. If you're like, I want to do a short film, what are the tools that I need to create a call sheet? There's software online that you can Google. I know Celtics has some software. There's Studio Binder that has really good software with free trials. And these things would just help you get familiar to how to use a call sheet, how to use a shot list, how to create a storyboard. I think it's called Shot Deck, which is a good tool for like referencing different things for your storyboard. There's so many things out there. And honestly, if you're like, I can't find anything, then you're really not looking. Like seriously, just Google it. It's out there.
Is it necessary to attend a specialized school in order to get into the industry?
No. The brief answer, do I need to attend a specialized school? The short answer is no. The long answer is it's complicated. Like, you absolutely do not have to go to school to become any position in the entertainment industry. You don't have to go to film school per se, but it is helpful. Like, if you have a curiosity or something, you're thinking about college, but you don't want to study the traditional things, like film school is not a bad idea. If you know that you're like the school type and theory is important to you and the basic know-how is important to you, then do it. Like, for me, film school was a very played a big part in my life. Like, as I met so many great people there. I just had 2 years of just creating my own content and working with other people, and I learned so much, and it was applicable. But at the same time, you can do that, on the weekends. If you have a full-time job, on the weekends, on your free time, you can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm an introvert. How important is networking when you're trying to break into the entertainment business?
Did I write this question? I'm an introvert too. So I will say, like, we have to find ways to network. My networking didn't look like the traditional, I'm going out to schmooze. I'm going to all these events and just going to talk to strangers. I don't operate like that. The best thing for me has to been to, certain things like doing well at work and getting noticed, talking to people who I know who are friends of other people, and just saying, people wanting to introduce me to them. So like the one-on-ones and working and let my work speak for itself. Striking like conversations individually, I'm good. But like, if the whole event is like structured for, hey, we're just here to schmooze and meet each other, I won't meet a soul that night. So what's been really helpful for me is also having extroverted friends who will introduce you to somebody and speak your name and help you get a job. Hey, I have a friend. Actually, shout out to you, Dion. That's part of how I started getting my jobs, is that you actually recommended me for a PA job, and I've been winning ever since. So, you're more of the extrovert and I'm the introvert, but it kind of worked out great for me.
Can I make a living from writing scripts and filmmaking?
Yes. Can you make a living doing this? Absolutely. From writing and filmmaking, there is money to be made. Now, I don't want to burst your bubble. You might not always be like balling. Like, you might not maybe making multi-million dollars doing this job. You might make, a regular average living standard you can pay for your life here in LA. But you can make a living. It's going to take a while for you to get to that position. I mean, and it might not, and more power to you if you just come out here winning. That's absolutely amazing. But in most cases, you're not going to be making that much money. You might just be doing passion projects as a writer, as a filmmaker. You might be doing other types of work, but you can absolutely get to the point where this is how you make your living. And I'd just like to say, like, we've had several filmmakers and writers on the show on previous episodes who have proven that you can actually do that.
I have an incredible project. How do I find funding?
Great question. So there's a process. First of all, it's amazing. It's great that you believe in your project. You have to believe in your project more than anybody, right? Because it might take a while to sell or to get the funding together, right? So let's just put that out the way. Like, you have to believe in your project. Like, it is the best project. It is incredible. The world is going to love it. You can meet financiers. You can get finance. Let's do the grassroots way. The grassroots way is, if you want to make it yourself, you can go on different online fundraisings like Seed and Spark. You can do Indiegogo. You can do Kickstarter. These are like websites that will help you raise money for your project. and get some attention and do campaigning and get money for your project. That's one way is to do it. Another way, which this answer always makes me upset, but it's real, is ask family. Like, I don't know, like, your positioning. Like, you know, we're not always in positions where our family just have money that they can fund our dreams. But that's one way. If you know, sometimes you tap into your savings. Otherwise, but you know, you have a multi-million-dollar project. What I suggest is, like, open your mouth, create a pitch deck, reach out, send it to different managers and agents, get someone attached that has a name to your project. You know, you can use your connections to do that. And hopefully, you know, from there you can sell and get, well, finance and get it, you know, attention to it to get it made.
How can I find a mentor who have experience in the entertainment field?
I'm going to go back and just remind us how great social media is, because we're in a place where literally you can have like a mentor from afar. You know what I mean? Like, you have, like, if there's somebody that you really appreciate as a producer, somebody I really appreciate and have followed for a while is Issa Rae. And like, I follow her production company. Like, I want to see what they're doing. I want to see like how they do it, and I, you know, like, or how they're moving. And that's just like inspiration. You can learn from people afar. Also podcasts. Again, we're in a time where podcasts are soaring and people are literally giving you free information about how to do stuff. So you have podcasts like this, shout out to me, where you can actually listen to people. Like Ryan Coogler has In Proximity. It's an amazing podcast. There's so many filmmakers that will give you you know, the information that you need, or processes, or interviewing people. So that's one way to get a mentor. The other way is actually like reaching out. If you went to college, for example, you have a community, a network of alumni there. Connect on LinkedIn. Say, hey, I went to your school. We went to the same school. I would love to like take a meeting, have coffee, and just hopefully start a relationship where, you know, we can a mentor-mentee relationship. And remember, a mentor-mentee relationship should not be you as a mentee just like taking from the mentor. It should be, you know, they can pour into you, but, you know, like, you can take them to coffee, and you can update them on stuff. They can give you notes. Listen to them. if they're gonna give you like their wisdom and, you know, advice about career path, like, you want to take them up on some of that, because they don't want to feel like they're just wasting their breath trying to pour into somebody who's not really even listening to them. That's my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. How do I maintain a positive attitude when it feels like all my peers are succeeding and nothing is happening for me?
Okay, I can come from a personal place with this. There are seasons where it looks like everyone around you is winning. And that's such a great, amazing thing to say. I've seen my friends hustle and bust their butts, and look at them now. This is what we've been working for. And it might feel like you're still stuck. It might feel like your project's not getting the attention. You're not getting that Emmy nom or whatever it is. You have to actually like sit back with yourself and like, so it's okay to have that feeling like they're winning. I'm sad for me. That's okay. That's human feelings. You're entitled to have them, but don't get stuck in that. You want to celebrate those around you, like joyful, like remember what you all went through and say, man, you're winning. And if you're this close, we're all this close. And I know it's almost my time. It's just motivation. Take that as motivation not to give up. To be like, we've all been here, and soon enough, like this is my real life proof that I too can be in that situation. So like celebrate that and cheer them on. And it's much better to like celebrate them than to be like secretly salty about it. You don't want to sit in that. You don't want to stew in that. You want to cheer on successes, because we know that this industry is hard. And, you know, just as hard as it is for you, you know, those peers around you had to face some of the same things. So like, just, you know, be a cheerleader in those moments and let it motivate you. Keep working. Keep going. Don't give up. This is your sign. Your friends are winning. This is a sign. It's winning season for you too.
How do I cope with negative feedback or rejections when it comes to my craft?
So this is one part where it comes with, I think it comes with experience. Like, you can take a couple of no's. You could take a couple of, you know, like, this isn't what we're looking for. Thank you so much for applying, but we encourage you to keep going on. I've gotten a few of those letters, so I can spit them verbatim. And it's just just know it's part of the reality. It's not reflective of you or your skill set. When you get negative feedback, if it's constructive, it can make you better. So if the feedback is about a script, for example, and it's, you know, like, this character needs more development. I'm really interested in this person, but I want to know more about them. That's not necessarily like speaking towards the work that you've done. It's just saying, hey, go a little bit deeper. You introduce somebody who seems kind of cool. Give me more information about them. And you take that and you utilize it. And same for like rejection, like, you know, no, so sorry. No, so sorry. You have to be realistic with yourself and understand that there are thousands of people out here trying to do the same thing that you're doing. That doesn't mean that those other people who are getting the yes are better than you are. It was just their season, and it's not your season. Let that negative feedback, let that rejection be the thing that keeps you going. Like, feed off of it. Just be like, you know, you always hear people be like, I got 1,000 no's and it was just that one yes. And it will be those people that say, I had 1,000 no's and I got that one yes. And that one yes is all I took. So maybe just be like, that's one no, that's two no's, that's three no's. Don't really physically count them, but just know that that's getting you closer towards your yes.
What type of internships are available for those who wanting to enter into the industry?
Internships. Let me tell y'all, we are in, again, it's so much better than it used to be. Internships, please, right now, well, I'll put it back like this. Internships back in the day was for anybody who was entry level trying to get in the industry. And what an internship meant was, you're going to come out here and we won't pay you. We might give you a stipend. But this is going to be your experience and good luck. I've had some of those. And then a law was passed that said, hey, internships can only be, you know, for college credit or for pay. And so, like, you can't take advantage of a person anymore. So I just want to put that out. Like, if somebody is saying, it's an internship, but we're not paying you, that's not an internship. That's something else. But there's so many, especially if you're a college age student, there's so many, all the studios, most of the studios have internship opportunities. I know, like, I believe Macro and Array also have summer internships. And these are just like to get you where you'll rotate a lot of times. You'll rotate in from one department to another. So it's going to allow you to see what each department does. There's also page programs. So I know NBC has a page program. I think Paramount has a page program. These aren't internships, but they're entry-level positions at the studios, where a lot of times you can work in different departments at the studio, and that also gives you access to different jobs, if you will, like what this department, like what the tour department does and what does the hospitality department do. And it's just different departments, and you'll get to learn your way around the studio, and it pays you and you get to see cool things. So many different ways that you can get into the industry.
What advice do industry professionals give for breaking into the entertainment world?
What advice? So I think a lot of the advice that we've definitely offered on this podcast are things that you would hear, like, like, come on out, apply, become a PA, go out and network, study your craft, research on Google, read actual scripts, study business trends, read Hollywood Reporter. Like, all these things are things that other industry experts, people in our field would say to do. And you'll start hearing like similar themes. If you're moving to an expensive city like LA or New York, you're going to hear, save your money. You're going to just hear, like, always be writing if you're into writing. If you're a director or cinematographer, you might hear, watch movies, learn different frames. If you're, like, just depending on what that industry is, like the specific thing that you're interested in, you're going to be encouraged to study it and know a little bit about it.
What is the WGA?
The WGA stands for the Writers Guild of America. It is a guild or a union that most, like, screen and television writers are a part of. You, after working a certain amount of time, writing a couple of scripts, you qualify to join this guild. You pay into a membership, and what this guild does is offer you protections, like that you get a certain amount of pay based on like a contract. You get healthcare, you get pension. Just because our industry is just a little different than most, it does the work to make sure that you're protected as a writer.
Who was your mentor, and what are some of the things that you guys done together?
That's a great question. So I have a couple of mentors. One of my mentors is not in the industry at all, but she's into like life coaching and just supporting young women. So I met her when I was like early 20s. When I was traveling and working for a nonprofit. She was the type of person that always checked in on me. She would constantly ask, like, what am I working on? What do I need help on? What are my goals? She's like I said, she's a life coach. So she actually checks in and she'll ask questions like, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? Or how do you see your life? Like, literally, physically, like, this is one of the best questions that she asked me. She was like, it's 5 years in the future. What are you doing, like, right now, right at that moment, 5 years in the future? Where are you at? What is around you? Who is with you? What is your view? And these kind of things just help you visualize your life and what you want your life to be. And she's really good at that. And she's also really good at being like, we need to check in. Come visit. Let's check in. How are you doing? Just tapping into the person who I am. So she keeps me grounded. Another mentor I have, she was an exec at Netflix, and she is VP, at the time was VP over scripted physical production. And what that is just like production management. And actually, like, has taken time out her life, her schedule, to sit down with me and like do some career development. Just like, I'm an associate at the time, I was an assistant production coordinator, and she was like, okay, let's map out what are you interested in next. This is really important. To have a mentor who will sit down with you and say, what are your career goals? Okay, let's kind of map out your next steps on how to get there. you don't have an experience in this field, let's call this person and let's get you onto that set so that you can then have experience on there, so then you can make the next steps that you need to make. So I think a lot of my mentors have been really good in just checking in with me and doing development.
What are some common career paths that are open to individuals with various levels of experience?
This is good because I've said before, like, in our industry, there are jobs and roles that exist in other industries. For example, there are production accountants. And if you are like, I want to move into LA, I want to work in movies, I just do bookkeeping and payroll and so there's a job for you. That's, and depending on your level, like, you know, like you still might have to learn like the basic rules of production and what applies. But if that's your world, you can find yourself jumping into production accounting. If you're like, I'm a lawyer, I'm interested in law, but I kind of want to be a lawyer, but I don't know if I want to necessarily be an entertainment lawyer and brokering those deals. You might not have to be a lawyer, but you could be an agent. That's a role that both, you know, law and business is very good to have. There's people who do casting, or do vendor agreements, and those people might have a legal background, they might have a paralegal background, they might not have any of that. So there's so many different positionings and roles that you can do just based on where you are or where, you know, your own personal experience can take you.
What certifications or programs should I consider enrolling in to gain the necessary skills and experiences?
Okay. So if you're not interested in school, like going to a 2 or 3 year program for film, there are other like programs that you can do. So, you know, like actors, there's acting classes out here that you can do. If you're into comedy or improv, there's a plethora of improv classes that you could do, which, and I also recommend that for people who want to be comedy writers. There's also extension programs. UCLA has a really popular extension program, where for people who want to be, like producers. I think they even have a writers program. And so that was just like a quick 8-week dive into like what it is that you need to know to be a producer. I think it's Full Sail University has one, New York Film School. There's so many short programs that you can find online, or Google that's a really good start. There's another one, I want to say it's like LA Street something. I can't think of the name, but I'll link it below. That was like a really good program for people who were interested in being PAs. It gives them like a quick, you know, time on like different commercials, how to be a PA on commercials, how to be a PA on television, how to be a PA on features. And then after that, it hooks them up with actual jobs. There's the DGA program, which is a program that helps people get in the positions of first and second ADs. There's so many programs. It's like I could talk forever on this. There's so many programs that a person can join. And I'm going to keep reiterating this. Maybe this is a clip. Find it online. Look on the internet. There's so much information. If you're not finding this information, it's kind of, I have to say it's because you're not looking. It's there.
What is your top 5 cities, states, what have you, to be a part of production?
So top 5, easy. Number 1 and 2, New York and LA. There's also Atlanta, Georgia, that has a lot of production. I got my start in Washington, D.C., so I'm going to actually put that out there. as a city that was actually really good. And because it's so close to New York and Philly, it was really good to get there. Let's go international with it. Like, you can go to Vancouver. Canada has some really good productions, a lot of great productions coming out of there. And honestly, that's not all. There's bonus city, I'm going to say, New Mexico, Santa Fe, surprisingly has a lot of production coming out of it. And just like a lot of different cities, a lot of different states have like different tax breaks. So you'll see a lot of work coming out. Oddly enough, there's a lot of stuff, I guess not oddly enough, Miami, Florida, that's another, I'm gonna give you bonus. Like, you can have careers in these places.
Who's your top favorite producers in this business?
This is a great question. I'm gonna go with people that you may or may not know, but there's there is Jason Blum, for one. I love just like the start of his career. I'm not into horror films like that, let me just say that, but I love like what Blumhouse has done and how they started their model with like making low budget movies that made so much money. I really appreciate the work that they've done there. There's, I want to say her last name is Richards, Denise Richards. She does a lot of stuff with Issa Rae, and just watching her career and the stuff that she constantly produces. I'm always say Lena Waithe, just because from Dear White People on to where she is now, and that she's shown that she's not just a producer, that she's, you know, a writer, she's a personality. Those are going to be my top 3.
I recently was fired. Do I get in good graces with the person since Hollywood's a small place, or do I move on to another production?
Hollywood is very small. And if you're going to leave that on your resume as your experience, I would say patch it up if possible. If you could just, you know, like, I know it was a misunderstanding, I apologize, or, you know, whatever it is that you need to leave in good graces, I would say to do that, because a lot of times if I don't know you and I'm looking to hire somebody, I'm gonna call your last couple of job people and say, hey, how did so-and-so do? And we're not afraid of being honest and being like, nah, don't do it, sis. Or, you know, it started off good and then he got weird, so we fired him. You don't want that to be the case. So make sure you know, like, you don't want to burn any bridges on the way.
I have nothing on my resume. What should I do?
First, I would say start by joining somebody else's film. Like, if you have friends that are making projects, volunteer to work on their set. I'll be a PA. That's going to give you a little bit of production experience. People do hire people who are green. Hear me out. Like, if you can drive, like, a lot of times the bare minimum to be a PA is, can you drive? Are you reliable? Do you have a car? Which can fall into the do you drive? If it's like not a super demanding show, or there's a large team of PAs, you can absolutely get hired on that show. Like, that's one of the beautiful things about being a PA. Weird enough, I don't know if you know this, but like, after, like, if a person's been a PA for like 4 years, you start to wonder why. Like, is it that they don't want to progress? Or is it that they're not that great, that all they can do is get a PA job? So, like, I give new people a chance if when you talk to them, they seem to have common sense and they can be reliable. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Copy That, our frequently asked questions. Make sure you keep on sending me questions. Send them in my DMs at Twilla Amin, and we will ask them on air. Make sure you like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit that notification button. If you're on Apple Apple Podcast or Spotify or any of those other platforms, make sure that you follow. Listen, guys, it's going to be 2 weeks before we're back doing this. But until then, we're going to make sure that you have fun, informative clips coming your way. Thank you so much for supporting, and we will see you next time.